first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, we appreciate you joining us. We are live streaming across all of Fox 12 Oregon's platforms, so thanks for being here. And if you're watching after the fact, that's great as well, because every segment is available for you to do so. And of course, share it from the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel. On Thursdays, though, at 1:30 p.m., almost every week, we are joined by Mr. Eric Goranson from Around the House Northwest. Always good to have you on. And every week you give some great advice to everyone out there on things that everybody's gonna have to deal with. And this one particularly here in the Northwest, water damage. I mean, that's something that everybody's gonna have to tackle at some point, whether you live in an apartment or a house. Either way, you're gonna have to deal with this stuff.
Oh man, and it happens. I mean, we've been watching on the the floods from the hurricane down in the south and seeing how bad they've been hit. But we have similar things here. We get our rainstorms, we get those winter storms here, the atmospheric rivers, and all of a sudden people are dealing with the same kind of stuff. Or it could just be a broken pipe in a bathroom or something that overflowed, and the kids overflowing the bathtub for too long, and all of a sudden you got a heck of a mess trying to clean up. And there's some still basic rules that apply for all of these situations, and half of them is just dealing with the insurance company.
Yeah, I mean, I will say right now, I'm just on a personal level, I discovered I have a leak on behind my shower, but not until it had been leaking for quite a long time. There was like a wall behind a closet, and so yeah, I am dealing with this currently. So I'm excited to hear the advice you have.
Well, yeah, the first thing is when you're dealing with a leak like that, you need to figure out if you have insurance coverage. And the worst thing you can do is call up your insurance company and say, I have a flood. Because a flood to an insurance company is the river or groundwater outside getting into your building. And if you've had a pipe break or a leak in the roof or somebody overflowed a bathtub, don't use the word flood, because that's not technically a flood. And unless you have flood insurance, it's probably not going to be covered. And of course, many insurance companies are just looking a way to get out of it. So don't misreport something. So be very careful in the language you use when you call up your insurance agent to properly describe what's going on, because that can set you down the wrong track pretty quickly, and you're gonna have a big fight on your hands.
That's very good to know. So be careful what the words that you use.
Yeah, it's that simple. But here's the thing: when you've got a broken pipe to an overflowing bathtub to a leaking shower, the first thing you need to do is pretty much get it dried out. And if it's a quick one, like that pipe break, and you have a lot of water, if you can get it dried out in the next 24 to 30 hours, you're probably not going to have a big mold issue. So that's where people get in there. You go down to your home improvement store, rent from a tool rental place, some fans, some dehumidifiers to try to get that area dried down. Now, many people, when they're dealing with insurance companies, they'll just call up the insurance company and say, hey, get your disaster restoration people over here, and they're going to come over and do that. You're going to remove all that wet stuff. You're going to really try to get that dried out really quickly. That way that mold doesn't grow, and then you don't have to worry about a mold abatement and stuff later down the road. So that's the first thing, is just getting it dry. But in a situation like yours, Craig, it's a shower leak. Most shower leaks, you don't catch right off the bat. You catch it, weeks, months to years later, because they're usually fairly small.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what this, and behind a wall, which is in, behind a closet, there's just no way for me to know. Until I decided to do some reorganizing in that closet, and I noticed that the wall was a little bit wet.
Yeah, and then you're trying to figure out what's going on. And if you've got a tile shower, that's usually a pretty good sign that shower is failing. Unless there's some caulking or something that's a simple fix that you go, wow, this caulking's missing. Generally, that means in a shower situation that, you've got a failure there someplace that you need to deal with. Because what's happened over the years is that when it comes to showers especially, is that, technology has gotten a lot better. Now we have all these waterproof membranes and stuff that we put behind the wall, between the wall and the tile, because tile and grout are not waterproof. So that's the thing, is what goes on behind that has to be. And so, in the 70s and 80s, you'd see people putting like green board drywall up and tiling right over the top of it. That was not a good plan, but we did that because that was just kind of how they did it back then. And so nowadays, when we get into stuff now, you'll see people putting in systems that are a waterproof foam board that go up there. That's a great basis for tile. That's perfectly waterproof, lifetime warranty. So when you have to get into that stuff, that's the right way to do that. So that way you fix it once and forget about it.
Nice. I love fix it and forget it. I am all about that, even if it costs more money.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we'll see too is like that dishwasher will leak, underneath the kitchen sink. And that's where you really want to start paying attention to what's going on in your house. Anytime you have an appliance that uses water, so that's going to be the washing machine, that's going to be your refrigerator if it has an ice maker, your dishwasher, and even a water heater. Those are areas that are really highly likely to fail down the road. The dishwasher, the bottom seal will leak on it, and that will start dripping on the ground. And if you have hardwood floors, for instance, in there, or even vinyl, the water will get under it. You go, hey, this is a little soft and spongy, and why is this floor looking weird in front of the dishwasher? Now you got a big project, because really many of the times you have to take those cabinets out. You got to disassemble that part of the kitchen. And I'm sorry, the insurance company probably is not going to pay for a new kitchen, which means they're going to try to remove stuff as best they can and put that old stuff back in with some new flooring.
Yeah, really good to know when it comes to that, and something again that everybody's going to probably have to deal with at some point, some kind of leak like that, or something failing, or putting that water out. Any other good advice or recommendation?
Yeah, other things to prevent those leaks from happening as well is to make sure that you check those washing machine hoses that are behind the unit and the wall. If you have those rubber ones, like a black garden hose, if you have those back there, they better not be over 5 years old, because those things fail all the time. They get little bumps and bubbles on the outside, because when a washer and dryer shuts off the water, it's an electronic gate that shuts. Bam. So all that water stops, and then it keeps doing this like a balloon to that hose. And so it usually only lasts about 5 years. So when you change those out, put some good high quality braided ones on there, because otherwise, if those things break and you're not home, that's like a garden hose running inside your house. And that's going to cause a big one. I had a project that I was working on probably 10 years ago up in Seattle, probably closer to 12. Third story house. They had a washing machine in their master bedroom on the top. And they went to Europe and came back, and the basement had filled up so much that it blew out the sliding glass door of water.
Oh man, from that going
that was
all the way down. Yeah, that's a horrible way to return home.
Yeah, not a good way to go. So these are all things that really, when you're working with the professionals, make sure you've got good insurance coverage. And the other thing is, another thing to keep an eye on is kind of one last tip for this, is to really make sure that when you're keeping track of the bills, even though it's an insurance claim. I had a really good buddy of mine here recently with our freeze and the windstorm we had here this late winter spring. He had a cabin up on Mount Hood. So he had a couple $100,000 of the insurance coverage on that cabin. They ended up going and getting it. He had a pipe break up there, saw it on his camera, had to drive all the way up there, so water ran for hours. Then they went up and did the restoration company. Well, the restoration company billed about 150 grand on that project. So he only had 50 grand to put back in the house to get it restored back. And they basically had to gut it to get it dry. So these are things you really want to make sure that you're talking with your agent. If you've got a big claim like that, maybe talk to somebody and get a public adjuster. That's an independent adjuster that'll help fight for you and your rights. And it's a good way to go into battle with the insurance companies to make sure you get made whole again, because that's the whole reason why you buy insurance.
Right. Yeah. And you don't want to have to deal with something like that. So that's some good advice, getting a public adjuster and all of that. And just doing some of that preventative work, to make sure.
Yeah, that preventative is always big. And there are smart things out there that you can actually install on your water valves inside, that if it detects a leak, it'll shut the water off and send you a notification on your phone. So if it's something you're really worried about, there's some great smart home systems you can put in that'll take care of that.
Perfect. Well, Eric, thank you very much for that advice. And again, everybody, you can share these segments too. So if you know anybody else who's dealing with any of this, or you think could benefit from learning about this, definitely share that. But I know we do have a preview too of this week's episode of Around the House Northwest.
I tell you what, we go out and visit one of my favorite new house that I've seen in Portland and probably in our metro area in probably a decade. Wow. This thing is stunning. And I mean, hidden doorways into bathrooms. You can walk into the house and you walk right through the middle of it out into the pool area. It's got a killer view. We go visit that. And then later on the show, I show you how to get rid of that old aluminum sliding glass door that everybody's got in their 1980s or 70s or 60s home, and put a beautiful, absolutely stunning, I had a custom-made Therma-Tru door put in that's gorgeous. And I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. And so you can make it so it's meant to fit in there. And one, it's beautiful. Two, you're not grabbing that door trying to get the thing open like mine was. And three, it saves a bunch on energy.
I think everybody has that experience of trying to get those doors to open, and then they stick, and then they do, yeah. But also hidden doors into bathroom. Yeah, I
Yes.
really want to see this house. Anytime.
There is this walnut wall that you come up and literally you push open the door.
What? Come
And
on.
it's
I've always
you
wanted one of
can't
those.
even see it's in there because I was like, oh, this is the bathroom over here in this rec room, and he's like, push right there, and then you're into this full bathroom that was absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I can't wait to see that. And this is something that everybody can watch. And when, where, and how is the best way to catch this episode?
Oh, yeah. No problem. If you missed last week's episode, don't worry. You can catch that tomorrow, 8 a.m. Fox 12 Plus. And then the brand new show we're just talking about, 10 a.m. on Saturday on Fox 12 Plus. And if you missed that, don't worry. 6 o'clock Sunday evening. Finish up dinner and watching your football games. Go over and change and watch it at 6 p.m. And then, of course, we've got it all on YouTube as well.
Fantastic. Well, Eric, always good to have you on here, and everybody can go check those out, like you mentioned, on YouTube as well. So lots of segments of Around the House Northwest on there that they can look at, and our segments here that we do for Fox 12 Now, so everybody can check those out. And as always, good to see you, and thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.